Broadcasting from Boston, Massachusetts, the ARC Digital Transformation Viewpoints podcast is the only podcast dedicated to all things related to digital transformation in energy, industrial, and critical infrastructure applications. The podcast is the creation of the ARC Advisory Group Digital Transformation Practice. ARC advises leading companies on technology trends and market dynamics that affect their business. To engage further, please like and share our podcasts or reach out directly on Twitter at ARC_advisory, or please go to the website at www.arcweb.com.
Hi, I'm Peter Manos, Director of Research at ARC Advisory Group. I'm happy to be here with Deepu Chawla and Sophie Borgne of Schneider Electric. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Peter.
And we're talking about how industrial operations are expanding and how Schneider Electric is helping its customers meet some complex challenges. So, Deepu, to start with you, in your role as Senior Vice President of Industrial Control and Drives, you're seeing a lot of growth in areas that are helping industrial asset owner-operators address challenges associated with meeting net zero goals and increase electrification of different industrial operations. So when you look at those trends, what are you seeing in terms of how you're helping them meet those challenges and the role that variable speed drives and other offerings of Schneider Electric's play for enabling them to meet their optimization of operations and everything?
Thanks for a good question, Peter. Variable speed drives is one of the key offers of industrial automation and also Schneider at large. If I look at some of the global challenges which the suppliers face today, is largely driven by some global themes and some regional themes. Globally, the challenges are mostly around sustainability and digitization. And if I look at these global themes, then every customer wants more connected drives, more IoT-driven drives, cybersecurity. These are major topics. And when you go to regional topics, then you see more price pressure, especially coming from the Asian markets like China and India. Having said that, I would say we are very nicely placed in both the areas, I would say. Largely, if I look at the investments we have done in China over a period of time, that really makes us in a competitive position in China. And whereas the R&D which we have developed and keeping the core in Europe really helps us to make the market more attractive for us in this part of the world. Coming from the accelerator, what are the accelerators? I would say these days, if you see 50% of the world's electricity is used by one component which is called electrical motors. And then if I look at what role variable speed drives play, if you just attach a drive to a motor, you start saving energies in the ratio of 25 to 30% as an average, depending on the applications. And then you have electrification coming on top of this, where you start changing a lot of themes there. So electrification is something which is beyond energy efficiency. And these are some factors which really support the growth path. And I think Schneider is very nicely placed in this kind of domain.
The nexus of energy and water really plays into the benefits that Schneider Electric is bringing. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about the technology drivers and what the example, for example, of your work with ExxonMobil in the Permian Basin is pretty interesting, I think, for our listeners.
That was a very interesting electrification story, I would say. The customer had a kind of commitment that they need to be net zero in Midland, Texas area by 2030. And one of the main assets in which they could do this is converting turbine-driven equipments by more electric-driven equipments. And in this case, there were some large compressors which were driven by gas turbines. And they have their own efficiency topics and they generate more carbon footprint. But if you just replace the gas turbines by motor drive system, and that's what we exactly did here, you are really cutting down the carbon emission to a very large extent. And then you support the customer to also improve the energy efficiency of the entire system. And so this was a story what we had with this customer. And in this kind of situations, you are not only improving the energy efficiency by a few points, but you're talking electrification, which is a much bigger story. You improve the entire efficiency of the system by 10 to 15%. And that's quite a lot if you're talking assets which are running into multi-megawatts. So this is what we did here. We call it electrification in a box. We replaced the gas turbines by motor drive system. And what we supplied here is largely a medium voltage drive package in an e-house supported by EcoStruxure Asset Advisor, the Schneider switchgear, the entire system. And these
this is the ATV 6000?
Exactly. This is the ATV 6000. And we have supplied them in large numbers. And so this really helped the customer and also gave us a good electrification story.
So when we look at the carbon footprint of the life cycle of oil and gas, fossil fuel, or feedstock for a chemical process being delivered, 15 to 20% of the emissions is in the production side of it, getting it out of the ground and delivering it. Yeah. So enabling that to be electrified, electricity could be from cleaner sources, and so it's above and beyond the energy efficiency savings that you referenced as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you have electricity coming from cleaner sources, but you actually improve the overall efficiency. Gas turbine needs a lot of maintenance. And the efficiency improves by replacing this equipment with electric. And if you see these trends which are happening in electrification, more than 50% of the fuel which is used in industry can be replaced by electricity. And this is the trend what we see here coming up. And we are very prepared for this trend. And this is one of the stories which is really giving us a good acceleration towards the market. Electrification, decarbonization, turbine to electric, very good stories, I would say.
And the turnkey aspect of the solution is interesting too, I think, for our listeners. You have, when you refer to the solution in a box, part of that is the maintenance function, predictive and preventive maintenance being enabled as part of what the product is offered, right?
Exactly. If you look at, and that's what I said earlier, customers are really demanding connectivity and something called as predictive maintenance. If you see the traditional way of maintaining your systems or your large drives, you can have a breakdown and then you support the customer by providing spares and spare services, or you have preventive maintenance where you do periodically maintenance. What we are now offering is something called as predictive maintenance, which is avoid any breakdown to happen. And this we do online when the equipments are running, when the plants are running, and which really monitors the health of the drive or the motor or the connected equipment. And then what it happens, it keeps telling the user well in advance, hey, look, this is the critical equipment which might have a topic 6 months down the line. This is your lifetime left for the motor or the pump. So you are really avoiding any future breakdown. So, and that's the trend which is really the industry is following, and Schneider is very well prepared, especially on topics like ATV Predict, which really helps such technologies.
So Schneider Electric's competitive edge that's of benefit to the end users here, there's the range of offerings in the mix as well, like the ATV 6100 as opposed to the 6000. Can you address the different aspects of the footprints and benefits of those two offerings in comparison?
See, one of the aspects is that how we want to be more competitive in the marketplace. And we have been really being a global player, but we act very regionally. Like we have a global footprint of medium voltage drives. We produce them in China, we produce them in Europe.
And Ohio too, as if I recall.
And Ohio, we recently started a factory in the US, in Ohio, producing the 630, 930, our low voltage series of drives, and which gives us a good advantage in the US footprint. And also that these drives comply to some new standards, which is the BABA or Make in America standards, which is becoming a new normal in the US. So we are really expanding our footprint in countries like India, China, and also United States. So we just balance our global footprint, and we can serve our customers more in the right way.
That's great, and I think that really sets a good context. When we think about energy usage and water usage and the resources and emissions associated with different industries, we tend to often stay in that industry bucket. But here we're really looking cross-industry, wherever fluid is being moved or wherever a motor is is enabling a process. You're addressing a big chunk of the energy usage, as you said. So any concluding remarks to summarize the goodness, truth, and light here?
No, as I say, I come from largely from the drives background, and I see huge opportunities. And Schneider's really focused to really develop this market more for drives in the various segments. You will hear more from Sophie coming in from the water segment as well. But we are very nicely placed to address the light industry, which is the traditional industries and the building and the infrastructure.
So light manufacturing,
exactly.
It's not the heavy process. Well, you address heavy process too, but
it kind of balancing out everywhere. Yeah. You have something to offer in the light industry and something to offer in the buildings and the infrastructure, and then you have the energy, chemicals, and the metals and the mining industry where you have a large offering.
Well, Deepu, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. So, Sophie, let's talk about the water industry and your role heading up the product areas in relation to that. Obviously, there are great challenges faced by water and wastewater asset owner-operators, and they have a big electric bill, right? Mm-hmm. And they have their lift stations and pumps, and for the basic process-related motors and control systems. What would you say you'd want our listeners to know when it comes to the market differentiators that Schneider Electric is bringing to the forefront here?
Well, thanks, Peter. I think you're spot on. The energy bills for water utilities are significant. Actually, electricity accounts for 1/3 of the operational cost of a water utility, which is significant. So energy efficiency is a big challenge. And since there are motors and pumps to move water around in water systems, this is where variable speed drives come into play to, push water, pull water, pump water through the network. And we have, thanks to the portfolios that Deepu and his team is working on, we have some competitive advantage, in particular with the latest generation and the ATV 6100. They are two-dimension. The physical footprint that is much smaller is of interest, and the cost competitiveness has helped us to gain some contracts in the water industry recently that are very beneficial.
So segment-wise, the large, medium, and small water systems, are you seeing the 6100 opening some doors?
Absolutely,
in that way?
Yes,
okay.
yes. It has been opening doors in a lot of different applications. One of them coming to mind is actually a project that we did recently in Algeria.
I was amazed at this. Basically, listeners, in the next couple of years, Algeria will be getting more than half of its fresh drinking water through desalination, which is just, is there any other country in the world, that maybe Saudi Arabia, that's anywhere near that?
In the Middle East, there are quite a few, and they share a common point. Those are countries where, fresh water is not abundant. Okay. And those are countries where there is a growing population, a booming economy, and you need water to, for people to drink, for agriculture to be developed, and for people to eat, and for industries to run. A lot of industries need water to operate. So the choice that the Algerian government has made is a very ambitious plan to invest in 5 big desalination plants. Actually, they have the Mediterranean Sea at the north border of their countries, and most of the population lives there. So they invested in that program, and we have delivered actually the full medium voltage and low voltage powertrain, including the electrical distribution switchgears and the medium voltage and low voltage drives. What made the difference is both the capability of the drives themselves and the energy efficiency that is coming from using drives, and as well our full life cycle approach with the drive. So not only our drives competitive at the investment stage, but we have with EcoStructure Asset Advisors that you mentioned, a very nice digital service capability. So those drives are connected, and by analyzing the data that are collected from the drive, we can predict failure. So the user can dispatch their maintenance team and fix the issues before they actually happen, avoiding downtime of their pumps and water plants.
And it's integrating with whatever enterprise asset management or work management system,
Absolutely.
CMMS, to use the old term, that they might have on those facilities.
Absolutely, because an important piece of our R&D choices is to use open technologies as often as possible, so that our technologies can be integrated in any of the system. So any CMMS in that case, yes, absolutely.
So I think Algeria would qualify as a large project. Mid-size, the Sweetwater Authority in California, 190,000 metered customers in that water utility, and some good project that Schneider Electric has there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a pretty interesting breadth of portfolio when it comes to drive and automation and electrical distribution, which allow us to address the small municipalities and the big ones. So you're right, Algeria is a very big one. In California, we are working with actually a lot of different municipalities on different size of project. The benefits are always the same. Energy efficiency, whatever the scale, is very valued. And the reliability of the robustness of the offer, which is going to guarantee the lifetime of the installation where they are running.
Right, these are very long-lived assets, so
Absolutely.
having that robust
they are critical assets.
There
are some other aspects. I'm thinking about cybersecurity, for example, which is quite important for critical infrastructures. Water and wastewater treatment plants are critical infrastructures.
And they've been pinged by attacks.
They are.
Intrusion attempts,
yes.
You should say.
So the fact that all our products are developed to fit the latest standards when it comes to cybersecurity is making a difference as well.
Excellent. And in terms of product portfolio, the APM, Alva Process Module, and some of the other offerings?
So that's going to open even more opportunities. We have, again, thanks to the work of Deepu and his team, a pretty rich roadmap of innovation coming in the coming months and quarters. The fact that we took a modular approach when it comes to drives is super interesting. We have some other innovation. I'm thinking about the solar drive that can help to address water network in more remote areas from electricity grid point of view. So I'm, blessed to have such an R&D partner and have a pretty innovative portfolio to answer the request of my customers in the water and wastewater industry.
Well, I think that really goes to the differentiation in the marketplace that's driving a lot of growth for Schneider Electric. And any final remarks on what you see in terms of the differentiators and growth?
I think what differentiates Schneider Electric in the market when it comes to water and wastewater is the fact that we can provide all the electrical distribution portfolio. We can provide as well the process automation portfolio, and we can optimize energy in the context of production. And that's actually the best way to get the maximum optimization level. And on top of that, we have a full suite of digital offer. And this additional layer of digitalization is helping to reach a further level of optimization for those critical infrastructure, and that's super differentiating.
Well, that also fits, I think, the whole EcoStruxure philosophy that it's a very flexible platform and bringing benefit in a lot of different ways. So on behalf of ARC Advisory Group, I'd like to thank you, Deepu and Sophia, and thanks for listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Pleasure.